Hello everybody and welcome back to Great Leveler Gaming. I am the Great Leveler, and on today's episodes we're going to be doing a first thoughts and impressions for the beta that recently came out for the upcoming Ghost Recon game, Breakpoint. So what's the story to this game? Well, this game is set on a series of islands called Aurora, and these islands are owned by Skell Technologies. And Skell Technologies are owned by someone called Jace Skell. Because as we all know, all successful companies call themselves after their owners. You can't tell me the last time you didn't hear someone talking about the next iJobs 10 that was coming out. But bad jokes aside, basically before the events of the story, a ship is sank off the coast of Aurora, and shortly after that, all communications with the island is lost. So with all these strange happenings, the CIA turns to the Ghost Recon team, a team so advanced, so special, so secretive, nobody even knows they exist. And how do they send in this special covert team? Well, overtly, to be honest, they send a few dozen soldiers in helicopters over civilian-owned islands and expect nobody to notice. And of course, when they get there, there's a security measure in place that prevents anything from arriving on the island and anything from leaving the island. So of course, all the helicopters are taken down before they can even land, killing quite a few soldiers in the process, but of course your character survives. And of course, once you get on the ground, things are even worse. There is enemy soldiers, and not just enemy soldiers, there is also an elite task force run by an ex-ghost called Walker, who your characters had dealings with in the past, as well as allies in all honesty. And this character Walker is played by John Bernthal, or however the hell you pronounce his name. I apologise for butchering that. You'll know him from Walking Dead, or probably more famously The Punisher on Netflix. A great actor to cast as your villain in my opinion, and he was, the few cutscenes I saw him in was just perfect in this game. So he's leading, as I said, an elite force called the Wolves, and that's how you know they're badasses, because you don't just call any group of soldiers wolves. You have to be absolute badasses. I mean, come on, who would even think to call themselves the Wolves? Whoa. But anyway, after this has all happened, you regroup a little bit and you meet up with a local resistance in this little cave that they're trying to fight back against this regime that's kind of popping up. And it's from this location that most of the game will take place. This is your starting hub. You'll be able to get missions, team up with other players. You'll be able to buy stuff such as weapons and vehicles, and generally start plotting your revenge from this location. So, is the game good? Yes! Okay, so you want to know why I think it's good. Alright, that makes sense. It's a review type video. Let's discuss that a little bit, shall we? And we'll start off with broad strokes, just talking about the gameplay. So, if you've played this kind of game before, it's nothing groundbreaking. Any game in the genre, you're going to get the same feel. Particularly if you play Wildlands, very similar to that. However, in my opinion, there has been improvements. One of the places it's improved upon is the difficulty. Now, this game is a game that tries to be realistic while still being a video game. Now, some games such as like The Division, for example, have hit markers for the enemies, and a level 100 enemy will take a few shots to the head to put them down. Even though they're not wearing any kind of protective gear, you can't put them down with a headshot. I hate that. But the problem with Ghost Recon, particularly Wildlands, was that yes, a headshot would take someone down straight away, but it also felt like just shots to the general chest area would also kill someone. And it felt like you could just walk through a camp almost. If you got the surprise, you could just mow down quite a few enemies. This game is not like that. I came to a moment where there was 5 or 6 enemies, and I tried to ambush them. I started off with a good shot on I think the first enemy, but they quickly started flanking me and I just wasn't putting them down. I had to be really careful. I had to take cover. I had to move locations because the enemies were smart. They were harder to put down but still felt realistic, and I loved that. It was a great feature, and honestly, every skirmish you get into feels tense. You have to plan your battles beforehand, and I thought that was fantastically done in this game. There's also some kind of feature they've brought in where when you go prone, you can go like camo prone, as I think it was called. We basically kind of dig into the dirt and wipe mud on your face to make it harder for you to be spotted. So enemies that are searching for you or drones flying overhead won't spot you as easily. And that was just a fun little feature, honestly, because sometimes you just got hunted down and you couldn't escape, and that's a nice little addition. So now let's talk about some of the other features in the game. So customization. Character customization is back. Now it isn't in depth like some games like Fallout 4 where you can change minute details. It's quite broad, but I think there's enough variety in the different faces and hairstyles, etc., that you're not really going to see the same face twice. You've got tattoos, you've got scars, you've got different clothing options. I think there's enough variety to make it fun without being a huge part of the game. Again, it's not that kind of game. We're not playing The Sims here. But not only is your character customizable, so are the weapons. You can customize scopes, clips, triggers. Again, most of this was locked, so I've not really had a chance to look in depth into it, but you could see the options, you could see the potential. If that's your kind of thing, you'll have a lot of fun with this game. And other features in the game, let's move straight on to vehicles. Now, vehicles are back and they are a hell of a lot of fun and slightly improved, I feel, from the last game. The first vehicle I got on was the motorbike, and straight away it felt more, I'm going to use the word grounded, although it might not be the best word to describe it. It's the word I'm going to use. Basically, the bike felt like I had some weight to it. It didn't feel like I was bouncing as soon as I hit a little dip. Obviously you can if you're going over hills and stuff, but I felt that the bikes handled really well compared to the last game. Four-wheel drives, not so much, a little bit squirrely, but that might just be the fact that I was driving on some probably not great surfaces. I was going over fields and stuff and muddy paths, but I didn't get the same feel from the vehicles, the cars, as I did with the bikes. Now, I presume airplanes are in the game. I never actually found one myself, but there is options for the controls, so airplanes are back in the game. But the helicopter I did try, and for those of you who played Wildlands when it first came out, you'll know that the helicopter piloting in that game wasn't great. Well, I can tell you now the helicopter controls in this game are much improved, unless, like I did, and you got your inverted controls the wrong way around, and then this happens. So other than that little mishap that I had there, the helicopters handled really well, really responsive, and I had a lot of fun flying them to and from places, and of course jumping out and let the helicopter spiral down to the ground while I parachuting like an absolute badass. But onto other features of the game. One thing that this game has brought in is basically you can set up a camp at certain locations, and once you're in this camp you can give your character a little perk or a little boost for certain features such as health or resistance to damage, and this will last for so long until you go to another camp, which was a fun little addition. And I believe, again, it never happened to me so I can't really say on it, but one of the things that the character can do is get badly injured. Obviously your health will recharge, and if you look at the bottom corner here, we've got 3 little health bars. Now these will fill up unless you get a major injury, which that will prevent that bar from healing all the way back up. So you will need to attend to your wounds, which obviously in the midst of a battle you're not going to be able to do. So that really adds another level to the game, and it was a lot of fun, that tension of do I run, do I heal. So that was a fun little feature, and I believe also some maybe certain wounds you can't heal unless you get back to one of these camps. Again, never happened, but I understand that something like that is in the game. And I think we've covered all the features of the game and why I had fun. So before we end this episode, again, I don't want it to be a hugely long video, but before we end it, I just want to talk a little bit about the enemies. So from my time in the game, I came across 3 different types of enemies. You have your normal grunts, which pretty much your standard bad guys, cannon fodder. Again, they'll take a few shots, they can flank you, they are a bit of a challenge still, but you're not going to have any undue trouble with them. I however come across a tank character, and this guy was tough as nails. I mean, there's a section here where I hit him with my car and he still didn't go down straight away, and this is after hitting him with a damn minigun earlier. So they are hard to put down characters. The third set of enemies I only came across once in the opening cutscene, opening level, are the before mentioned wolves. and these guys are hard as nails, not because they take a lot of damage, but because they are lethal. If you watch my first encounter with the wolves, you'll see what I mean. So all in all, you want to avoid fighting the wolves, at least early on, unless you can get the upper hand, which I certainly didn't do there. So you've got enough variety to the enemies to make this game a challenge. You've got drones that are searching out for you, you've got just so much variety, it feels like, in this game. So I had an absolute blast playing it. I am going to bring it to the channel, maybe not for a long running series, but definitely a video or two. So I hope you guys will tune in for that, and I hope you enjoyed this more review type video. As you can probably tell from my ramblings and stuff, it's not something I'm used to doing. But if you like where it's going and the potential of this, let me know, and I might do more videos like this in the future. But that's all I have to say really on it for now, so I'll see you guys on the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, then do remember to hit that like button down below, and whilst you're at it, if you haven't already, then click the subscribe button, which is also on screen here. If you want to watch some more Great Level of Gaming content, then follow the links on screen, and I will see you guys on the next episode.